we?
Are we? Yes, we are. All right.
Are we? Okay.
Here goes for real in 3, 2, 1.
I want that head so sanitary and squared away that the Virgin Mary herself would be proud to go in there and take a dump.
Joker, shut the up.
The morning stream, 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 the morning stream.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. This is the morning stream.
Morning, everybody. Welcome back to TMS, the end of the week for all you non-patrons. Yeah, that's right. Thursday, April 22nd, 2021.
That's right. This is where the weekend's for you.
Yep.
Non-patrons.
Yeah, get out of here because you don't get tomorrow's TMS PM
right.
or any other cool stuff. That's just how it is. We like to guilt you once in a while. See if you'll maybe sidle on up to the bar and set
Pony
a spell.
up.
It's up to
Exactly.
you.
Instead of leeching off of all of our free drinks, maybe buy one. Buy a round yourself.
Yeah, this is all true. So Brian and I were remarking before the show today why either of us are kind of grumpy today, and we're not entirely sure why. But
Yeah, really couldn't put our finger on it.
I have one theory, and it's probably not accurate. But
Okay.
so two things happened yesterday that may have contributed to this.
Sure.
Got all my stuff done, was feeling a little antsy. I'm like, I need to play a game or something. So I played a little Elder Scrolls Online last night. And
Okay.
I did a quest that choked me up.
Oh.
And I'm not used to that in video games of any sort.
No.
Video games don't
No.
normally yank on my emotion chain. Occasionally
I
I'll
don't
find
play
something.
video games to cry.
There was this really sad, total throwaway side quest that had nothing to do with any main story or anything that was just this sad little thing. I won't get into details, but if people experience it themselves, or rather them not be spoiled on it. But it was the nicest, like, heartfelt little thing. It made me think that there was something behind it, like maybe the quest designer had a personal experience that inspired it or something. I don't know, but it got me, and so then I was just a little melancholy. And then I went upstairs and went, well, it's almost time for bed. Let's put the dog away. Let's do all this stuff. Beep, beep, beep. And then I sat down and I ripped through all 7 issues of a comic called Severed.
Ooh.
Which
Okay.
is written
Sounds
by Scott Snyder. I couldn't tell you who the artist is, but he's awesome. He's normally like a classically trained artist guy they hired for a comic, and it really worked. Anyway, It's a horror comic. A horror.
Horror.
Yeah, horror.
Horror.
Although there is a
horror
prostitute. There's a prostitute about issue 4, so maybe there's some of that.
Oh,
but,
there you go. Well, that's
yeah, you get both horrors. But anyway, it was real dark and very good, but super intense. And by the time I got done with that, I was like kind of wired up for that. And then I slept like crap, and now here I am, and I'm grumpy. Brian's grumpy. We're all grumpy.
Well, see, and maybe there's something to that, because prior to Raid was a blast. It's always a blast with this group.
Yeah.
But prior to that, we watched 4 of the 5 documentary short subject nominees for the Oscars. We've done the live action shorts, we've done the animated shorts, and now it's the documentary shorts.
Sure.
And let's see. We had one that was about a young black woman that got shot in a grocery store, in a convenience store.
So a positive,
then there was
upbeat
one
story.
that was
Yep.
what's that?
A very positive, upbeat story you got going there.
And then that was followed by one about the Hong Kong and China democracy rioting that was going on.
Oh,
at
nothing
the end
but
of
smiles
2019,
and
all through.
Just smiles.
Just
and
nothing
happy
but smiles
times.
there.
Yep.
Then we had one about this is the worst one. It was about a hospital in Yemen.
Oh boy.
Where the malnutrition and the Saudi Arabian government blocking supplies from getting to the people of Yemen have caused so much malnutrition and starvation and death, and we basically just watching babies not make it.
Yeah.
And then what was the last one? Yeah, it was basically just like a happy fest of documentary short subjects.
Wow. Yeah.
And
that could have contributed.
Yeah. I don't know which one. I think the Yemen one is probably gonna. Well, the Chinese one is probably gonna win.
Oh, I see.
That was really good.
I was going to
They
ask
were
you
good.
if you had a favorite, but sounds like
Yeah, they were really, really good. But boy, were they depressing. And then the fifth one, which I didn't get to because I had to go to raid, was apparently about a musician who just likes to make music. It's like, well, why couldn't they put that one in the middle of the 5?
By the way, this reminds me, speaking of Oscars and your recommendations,
Yes.
I watched the Nomadland there.
Nomadland.
Nomadland. And
Nomadland.
I adored it. I thought it was awesome. I loved it. And part of the reason I think I loved it is there's a couple of things going on here. One, something about that lifestyle and it being in the desert really appeals to me. Just at some real guttural level. Hard for me to explain, but
nobody here is surprised by that, by the way.
Right. Nobody should be surprised. It was
like
almost
if Nomadland ended with a big car chase across the desert, it could have been more.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like it was almost like a nice Mad Max in a weird way, like a calm, sharing sort of Mad Max sort of lifestyle. But I think the other thing that really got me about it, and it goes without saying, the acting is incredible. She is just insanely good.
Some of which isn't acting, but
a lot of it isn't. A lot of these people are just real and they're talking, and that's the part that I think really sunk in. And it's really good directing where you can take those two things and mush them together and not have it feel weird.
For sure.
And have David Strathairn show up out of nowhere and not have that be a shock to your system. Have it feel like it fits. He's so good in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He blew my mind. I loved it. But anyway, the other big takeaway for me is, well, did you ever see what was that called? Not The Simple Life, The Simple Time. Shit.
Simple Story.
Yes, the lawnmower guy.
Yeah, the David Lynch.
David Lynch. This is like that
most
movie.
Non-David Lynch movie ever.
For sure. And that movie was rated G of all things. It's crazy.
Like this David Lynch right here.
There he is. Look at him. You don't want to watch a movie on your effing phone, he's saying to himself. That Simple Life thing, or Simple Story, keep saying
Simple
life,
Story,
is a lot like this. In that
it is.
There's a kind of a matter-of-fact, salt of the earth, non-acty kind of quality to it. And this definitely had tones of that. It really worked with me. I thought the music was amazing. You got to tell me what the cover is at the end, the piano cover. What's the song they're covering? Do you know? Do you remember from your
I don't
viewing?
remember. That was one of the first ones we watched for this batch, and
it's so good.
And here's I've been saying that this year's crop of nominees are, in my opinion, one of the best we've had in a long time. There is no movie in the list that's like, I hope that one doesn't win. It might be lowest in my list of all the nominees, but it's still one of the best things I saw this year. I just happen to really enjoy Sound of Metal, Promising Young Woman, Mank.
Yeah.
Those are, I think, my 3 favorites. I would say, if you've got time between now and the Oscars, maybe Sound of Metal should be the one you go for. It's streaming on Amazon Prime, but that's about a heavy metal drummer who starts losing his hearing.
Right. And, that's one I definitely want to see.
That's so good.
Yeah, I was just really impressed with it. And I knew I was going to like it because I like Frances McDormand. She can do no wrong for me. But, I didn't really quite know entirely what to expect. But this kind of introspective, quiet,
it's really
journey.
Sweet.
It's really nice. Really good.
It's almost even got like a Boyhood kind of quality where you're not really watching a story from start to finish. You're watching the middle of a story or a slice of someone's life.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It was really nice, and some of that life appealed to me. I have to admit, just the idea of living on your own in a van.
Gonna go sell rocks.
Yeah. And you got a little trader space where everybody's put out stuff they're trading around, and there was a certain kind of, I don't know. I liked that. Whoever the kid was that she talked to twice.
Yes, the kid that gave her the lighter the second time.
Yeah, I assume
that was the clip I used for my recommendal when I talked about this. Because that was my favorite moment. Just my girlfriend just doesn't want to live the life I live, and I go and see her when I can. And
it was, I don't know. There's something about it. There's a vibe there. So
I
still don't understand. Now look, we're American and we're weird.
Sure.
Every other location in the world, every other country in the world that rated this film did not rate it their equivalent of R, but we did. Why? Because she's floating in a river, naked,
Yeah.
just under the water.
Because they base it on an old Puritan, like, non-contextual standard that says, nudity, or this many F-bombs, or this many,
right.
It's completely based on a non something that just can't take into context, because they just don't want to have to do any sort of opinion. Well, it kind of fits with the film, and this one actually has, it's
completely
gratuitous
non-sexual.
nudity.
There's no sexuality to this nudity. This moment of nudity is like a weird, ethereal sort of like, I don't even know what to call it. It's art. All right. It's not the same. So all of this like freak out over that kind of stuff just pisses me off. This movie should have been PG at the worst. Like,
yes,
language wise, there was nothing there. There was no violence. The themes are maybe you wouldn't want a 6-year-old to try to explain the plot, I guess, but there was nothing about that scene. That annoyed me.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe that's why I was grumpy. That's why I'm grumpy.
That also could be it. Yeah.
The MPAA making me grumpy every time I see a thing. Anyway.
Yeah, just look at the list. I mean, The Father was excellent. Judas and the Black Messiah. God, I mean, it's just such a good crop compared to.
It's a good year for a year that was marked with such. Well, I guess it was a lot of post production, right? But
right.
Pandemic time. I'll be interested to see what next year what we're saying about best movies. You know what I mean?
Right. And I certainly don't want to say that, well, last year, I mean, but I thought The Irishman was okay. I was, wasn't blown away by it. I thought Parasite and Jojo Rabbit were excellent. 1917 was excellent.
Right.
But I'd say that the ribbon or the spectrum for the films that were nominated last year is a lot wider than the spectrum this year, as far as quality.
It definitely feels that way, even though I haven't seen a lot of it. It feels like a cut above this year. But we'll see if next year was affected by pandemic things or not. I don't know. Yeah. I'm really curious about that. TV. I'm
curious to see how they do it, because they're not having anybody in the audience that's not nominated or a presenter, so nobody will be there live that's not an audience member, or I'm sorry, not a presenter or a nominee. And then they've got 2 locations, kind of like what they did for the Golden Globes with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, where you've got, all right, we're pulling this person on a stage here, they're going to give their acceptance speech, or they're in LA and they're going to do their speech over here, or whatever.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. We won't have all those wide audience shots of opulent people living the life.
Which we really don't need. Yeah.
Literally hating sitting next to who they're sitting next to. All right, we're gonna do something today a little bit different before we pull Bobby in, and it's just a one-time segment. Here you go.
Give me the box!
All right, I'm gonna open a box live on the air. It's a box opening.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. What's in the box?
I don't even know. Now, normally I get stuff at the P.O. box. This showed up at the door, which makes me, and I didn't order this. It's from somebody called the Game Crafter. And I don't know what this is, so we're going to find out together as I unbox. It's popular now. I like the unboxing. The kids do.
Yes. All of a sudden, our YouTube ratings are skyrocketing because of this moment.
It's going to be huge. This video, this archive will be on YouTube. You're welcome, everyone there who loves this.
Will you please make a title card for this that shows you opening the box and doing this?
Yeah, but I need a white outline around me. Can you do that part?
You need a white outline, your hands on your head, and some overblown reaction shot.
Oh, look at this. Oh, I guess I did know about this, but it's not me who initiated it. Dave ordered it. Okay, here we go. It's the gamepad.
Oh, this is the mat.
Yeah.
For your game.
Oh, look at this, you guys.
They needed to put that in a big box?
Yeah. They had to put that in a huge box
That's
for
sexy.
some reason.
That's
yeah,
very sexy.
It's very nice. Ooh, let's see. Is that the right size for the deck? Hold on, I gotta test it. We're gonna take a card.
All right. Oh yeah.
We'll take an 8 here of the deck here. We'll lay it. Oh, it fits right in the middle.
Oh my God! It sits on the mat.
Oh, you guys, that's perfect. Oh, this turned out really good. I'm pleased. Neoprene with a nice sheen on it.
Yeah,
very well
like
printed.
That's cool.
Oh, this took me forever to draw. By the way, forever.
Really?
Oh yeah. I don't know why. Lots of detail, lots of little nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
It just took a long time. longer than I'm used to, but very happy with this. Okay, well, it's not. I promise this wasn't my attempt to freaking pimp rock runners one more time. I didn't
By
know.
the way, I hear that neoprene mat will also work with other card games like Uno.
Yeah, you can use them with just about anything you want, and you could use it as a mouse mat if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Anyway, very cool. I'm excited.
Very cool.
All right.
All right.
Dave will be happy that happened accidentally. He'll think that's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Accidentally.
Yeah, there's no accidents in this world. Bobby coming in.
Bobby.
Yeah, we got some science to get through, and that's just how it's going to be. And we're going to start it by hitting this.
I think science is cool.
I think it's cool too sometimes, but then sometimes there's weird stuff, and today we're going to suss through some of that weird
You
stuff.
mean weird science?
Weird science, yeah. With that pretty lady that is naked in another movie.
I was thinking you were going to go Danny Elfman, Oingo Boingo, but you went Kelly LeBrock. Okay, that's fine. That's good too.
I think about her all the time. She was a bit of a crush back in the day for a lot of us, I think. But anyway, who is not my crush, but a good pal of the show, Bobby Frankenberger, joining us now. Hello, Science's own Bobby Frankenberger.
Hello, Art's own Scott Johnson. I have a quickly. My family is looking for a great family card game.
Oh man, do I have
If
news for
only-
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could only think of one that I could recommend. Oh, look, here's a whole deck of what I
My
like to
family
call
of geologists is looking for.
Rock Runners Incorporated, where you'll be able to take these now 70-plus cards and have a great time with your family and your friends. And did I tell you there's a gamepad for it as well? So you can put your decks out here. You've got the draw deck, the play deck, and your space credits.
But wait, there's more. If you act now, we'll throw in this lovely set of cutlery.
There you go. I'm pretty. I'm stoked that families will get to play it because that's where I've had the most fun with it. So that's a fair point. Anyway, we're not talking about that today. I want to talk about this weirdness with. All right, we live in a time where we're all getting the vaccine, and those who aren't are dumb and whatever. Okay, we can talk about that different day.
You said that, not me.
Yeah, it's true.
Not that we want to go out on a.
Not dumb, just you're whatever. I don't hold your emails. You know how I feel. Anyway, the point is that we've had for a while here in the States, the big three choices, if you had a choice, were Moderna, Pfizer, and then Johnson & Johnson, which is the uniqueness of the J&J is that it's a different process. It's more like the old sort of flu shot style thing.
Single shot, one and done.
One and done. And
No booster.
it doesn't use the mRNA stuff. Like it's just your good old fashioned. Here's your thing. But then things got weird. Our own Justin Robert Young, by the way, getting the Johnson & Johnson. He got it before he left California. And but then there was like a bunch of talk of there were some weird abnormalities at the lab, and also 6 people out of however many million got weird clots, and so everything got put on hold, and it's gotten all weird. So you're here to just clear this up. Like, tell us the deal, what happened, what's happening, and is it okay to get it, and should you ever get it, and is it even an option to get it?
Right. So to answer the quick ones that you just asked, which are, can you get it? Is it an option? It will be, again, almost definitely, but right now it's still on pause. So Tuesday, like you said, last Tuesday, April 13th, the FDA and CDC kind of made a joint statement suggesting that a pause on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and then everybody stopped in the country. And the reason that they did that is complicated. On the surface, it's very simple. It's because, like you said, there were 6 cases of this type of blood clot, stroke, that was reported. It's specifically called CVSTs, the cerebral venous sinus thrombosis.
Ugh.
It's a very rare kind of blood clot in the brain. And it was very strangely happening at the same time with low platelet counts called thrombocytopenia. But it's just a really rare condition happening. 6 out of the 7 million doses, 6 people got this.
Right. It
And,
seems like more people get it. The thing I was reading was saying every year some larger percentage of women get that condition or get similar kinds of clots from standard
Birth control.
regular old birth control.
Yeah.
And that it's
Yes.
never put a stop to that. And so people are wondering, well, why is it putting a stop to this? And why are we is it just because we're so cued in on this stuff or something?
Well, so it's a tough call to make. First of all, you have to be careful about the language that's used because a lot of people aren't, right? They're not stopping the vaccine. They're pausing it. And maybe that sounds like a sort of pedantic distinction to make, but it's not really. It's an important distinction to make because the FDA and the CDC were never saying people should not get this.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying let's hold off for a little bit because there's some weird things happening and we don't understand it, and we want to have a better understanding of it before everybody continues to use it. Now, we can talk in a minute about whether or not even the pause was a good idea, but let's understand why they did what they did. These side effects that we only have, again, 6. I think actually there was a 7th one that was reported after the pause was suggested, but it's still only 7 out of 7 million. So literally 1 in a million chance that you could get these severe side effects, but they're very severe side effects. One person died. A few of them were hospitalized.
Right.
I mean, it's a stroke. It's a blood clot in the brain.
Right.
But as you
Well, wait a minute. Have they got full causality on this? Are they sure that it was even as a result of the vaccine, or were these people, given the low number, to me it seems like, well, maybe these were 6 stroke victims that were coming up regardless? You know what I mean?
Right. Again, it's super complicated, right? And that's a really good question to ask is, was this even caused by the vaccine? Because the background rate of these types of blood clots in the general population is higher than these that are being reported. So was this just by chance? Who knows? There is some strong evidence that it was caused by the vaccine. The evidence is, first of all, we're only seeing it in a subset of the population. So it's specifically happening to women aged 18 to 48.
Oh, interesting.
So that's a little bit of a thing. Like, why are we only seeing it in those people? Another thing is almost an identical thing happened with the AstraZeneca vaccine over in Europe. It's almost exactly the same, by the way. And there were not a lot more, but there were about 86 and 20 million doses over there, 86 cases of stroke. And they did do a thorough scientific analysis of that and did find that it was highly likely a result of the vaccine there. So because it's similar, and because the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Johnson & Johnson vaccines are similar in the way that they're delivered, like they're the same type of vaccine. They're not those new mRNA vaccines. They're the adenovirus ones.
Right.
And they're similar. So it's like, it points in the direction of saying maybe it's because of the vaccine as well. Also, the fact that the thrombocytopenia, the low platelet counts were associated with this as well, sort of implies an autoimmune connection, which means there's something going on with your immune system that's causing these strokes to happen.
Gotcha.
Like your immune system's attacking itself. And because that seems to be the case, that's another strong piece of evidence that a vaccine could be causing this, because that's what the vaccine kicks your immune system into gear, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to elicit a response. That's the whole point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's just to recap that, there's strong evidence that it is being caused by the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Well, okay, so let's just say it is part of the, I mean, again, given the total number happening here versus how many doses have gone out, and given that's a lower rate, even if they can attribute it 100% to the virus, or to the vaccine, it's still a lower rate than a lot of common stuff people take all the time for different things. Is this possibly just I want to make sure I ask this question right, because I'm not trying to imply a conspiracy here, but what I'm trying to say is, like, if they don't pause it, then they look like they're hiding something and not telling people the truth, and anti-vaxxers take that and run with it. If they do pause it, you kind of have the same problem, though. Because now they're pausing it, and everyone's like, "Oh, see, bleh, bleh." I guess what I'm saying is they're kind of in a no-win situation with this. Feels like
They are 100% in a no-win situation with this, and that was why this was such a complicated decision for them to make. They even straight up said, we're only doing this out of an abundance of caution. There was a lot of factors that went in, right? First of all, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the vaccination program that we're in the middle of, trying to get everybody vaccinated, only about 5% of the vaccines are Johnson & Johnson, and we don't need Johnson & Johnson in the U.S. to vaccinate everybody.
Right.
So that's part of the calculations that they made. Another part of the calculations that they made were one of the biggest reasons they cited for pausing was saying, we want to make sure that we get all this information out to healthcare providers so that we can warn everybody, say, these are the symptoms you should be looking for. Get that information out to the people who've received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as well. You know, you should be, in addition to all these other symptoms, you should be making sure you pay close attention to any symptoms of a stroke.
Right.
And then get somewhere, because it has been seen. They just really wanted to be really, really careful with this. Now, there are lots of people saying that they still shouldn't have paused it. So those are the facts, right?
Right.
I'm actually of the opinion that that they could have done this a little bit differently, and that they didn't have to completely pause, because it is not an insignificant issue to consider that they've given tons of fuel to anti-vaxxers and conspiracy theorists, because we're already fighting a huge seemingly almost uphill battle against those kinds of movements.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like the worst case scenario is happening in that regard, because no matter whatever the negative thing is, if there's any negativity associated with any of these things, which is such a higher rate of possibility given how quickly this all had to be pushed through, right? So you're going to run into issues like the factory issue or the manufacturing issue on the J&J stuff, which has nothing to do with the stroke stuff. I don't think.
It just happened at like the same time, but they
right.
are completely separate issues.
Right, but it's just knowing the ding-dongs we're dealing with, those things, all they are is like just excuses for people to go, see, what have I been saying? See, it's all corrupt, it's all deep state. Like they're going to do that all day about anything you hear about this stuff in a negative light. And it's a bummer, man. It sucks.
It does. And we already, even before COVID, we have always had a really bad anti-vax problem in the United States.
Yeah.
So this, it always feels bad to have, whenever news comes out that you just know is going to provide fuel to that movement.
Yeah.
But they suggested the pause. I think that the UK, I told you the AstraZeneca vaccine over in Europe has a very similar issue.
Yeah.
But in the UK, they did something a little bit different with that news, and I really liked how they handled it. They didn't pause the vaccine or stop the vaccine. They just said, look, the evidence shows that this is happening in this group of people, so let's put a warning on it, make sure people are aware of it, and let's just try to use a different vaccine with that group of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they kind of hit it that way instead of just like stopping it altogether. Now, again, they rely more on AstraZeneca than we rely on Johnson & Johnson. So there's all of that has to be considered as well. Like, can you afford to not to pause it?
Right. In this case, you made the point earlier. You pause that one. You pause Johnson & Johnson, and you still have plenty of Moderna and Pfizer in this country right now. And so you can make that decision, because the crucial point of let's make sure people get their vaccines doesn't actually change. It does change in some ways, because you have the 2-dose thing and it changes scheduling and all that, but you can still keep moving. Like you can keep vaccinating people while you put this on the shelf for a minute and go figure out what the hell happened or is happening, or whatever, to make your decision. But it seems to me, no matter what, no one's going to be asking for the Johnson & Johnson. Like, even if you told me tomorrow, it was all a mistake. Those 6 stroke victims, they had strokes before. It was nascent and we didn't know. And it had nothing to do with it. Turns out, folks, move along. I'd still go. I think I'll take the Pfizer. You know?
Yeah, and that's.
I don't know how
I
you
think
get
a lot of
around
people
that.
are going to have that reaction.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are going to have that reaction.
Yeah.
But it is important to note that, first of all, everybody who's worried that they've gotten it, especially women who have gotten it and are now hearing all this news about all this happening, who are concerned, your concerns are completely valid. I would be worried about it too, because it's hard to erase that worry that it could happen to you.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, yes, 6 or 7 people got these blood clots. We did have a person die, but of those 7 million vaccines, those 7 million Johnson & Johnson vaccines that were administered, it's hard to predict exactly how many people, but certainly in the order of thousands of lives were saved because of that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the calculate. Like, it's still worth it to get the vaccine. Sure. Get the Moderna or Pfizer one if it's an option for you. But we have to not fight really hard against it. There are some people, like unhoused homeless individuals, who need the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because it's really hard for them to get a second dose follow-up, you know?
Right.
And so the Johnson & Johnson
The
vaccine
single dose
is an
ideal for them.
important tool in the tool belt for getting everybody vaccinated.
To me, it reminds me of like, you remember the Samsung Note 7s that were exploding or whatever? Remember that whole thing? And they had like airplanes would stop letting people bring their Note 7s on the plane and all that. And I remember thinking at the time, it didn't matter how big of a discount you would give me on a Note 7. I'm hanging around for the Note 8 because the mess has already completed. Like the problem has already happened. Oh, is this more boxes? What's this? Oh, I was thinking I was going to... Okay, I got it. Sorry, my wife brought me a package. But you know what I'm saying? Like the damage is done a little bit. You've got the PR problem, and now what are you gonna freaking do? I don't know how they get around it. Like, if you've got the choice, even people who are reasonable about this stuff are gonna probably go the other way.
The way you get around it, honestly, is to talk about how much. And this sounds like spin, but it's absolutely true, that the fact that the FDA and CDC made this announcement, that we paused it and everything, is a good indication about how successful the vaccine program in the United States is.
Yeah.
Because this was identified very quickly. We stopped it very quickly. It lets us. It's a sign that the monitoring of all this stuff is very effective. We haven't seen any of this in Pfizer and Moderna, so they're still great. But the program, the process is working, and we're paying close attention to it. So that's the spin that we need, is that lives were absolutely saved because we're being very careful about how these vaccines are rolled out.
Right. Well,
and quick clarification from the tadpole, from Billy Douche Poodle.
Is that his name?
I'm saying that name. That the we don't want anybody to think that the clotting is the same, the birth control clotting versus the clotting that came from the Johnson & Johnson.
Oh yeah, nobody's saying
cases.
that. I think it's pretty clear. We're just saying other stuff everything has some level of risk to it. You know,
right? Well, apparently at the very beginning we said something that sounded like we were saying it was the same kind of clotting, but
that's an important distinction to make, because we don't want to scare anybody away from things unnecessarily.
Exactly.
But it is absolutely different. You're right. This is actually the clotting that's happening here is very similar, if not the same, as what's called heparin-induced thrombocytopenia. So heparin's a blood thinner, and this same sort of clotting and stroke is seen in rare cases in people who use heparin. So if you want to make a distinction, it's more accurate to compare it to that, I guess.
I just think the word heparin is scary sounding. I don't like it.
Heparin, I like saying it for some reason.
Heparin. Yes. I don't know. It's like Retson.
Like Katherine Heprin, one of my favorite actresses of all time.
On Golden Pond, Heprin. All right. Well, this has been enlightening, and I like talking about this stuff because it's better to talk about it than just read headlines. So really glad to have Bobby here doing that. Bobby, why don't you tell fine folks where they can get more of your scientific knowledge and or discussion on the internet, sir?
me and my co-host Maura have a science podcast called All Around Science. We just talked about this entire thing on our last episode that just came out on Monday, and we go into much more detail about both Johnson & Johnson, and we dug deep into the AstraZeneca thing, and then gave our sort of hot take, which I've cooled down a little bit since then. So if you want to hear what I thought about it, like right afterwards, and I was like mad at people for pausing.
This is more of a lukewarm take, or
this is more of a lukewarm
room temperature take.
I've evened out a little bit. But you should check that out, All Around Science. And on the next episode, we're talking about. Did you know we're going back to the moon?
Yeah, I heard. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
dude.
I like
There's
the
a
moon.
whole Artemis mission.
About time
we're
we
gonna be
left a
talking
bunch
about.
of stuff there that we need to clean up.
Yeah. There's like a whole picnic spread up
Buzz
there.
can't find his keys.
Buzz
There's
can't find his keys.
There's a Martian or a moon alien standing on the side of a road up there with a tear coming down his cheek because we haven't cleaned anything up.
Yeah.
Please clean it up. Yes.
And if Buzz Aldrin can go back up there, he could punch that alien for suggesting he didn't actually go to the moon. That I would pay money to see.
Right, there you go.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that'd be amazing. All right.
But yeah, All Around Science. Check it out.
Do it. Bobby, thanks for hanging out with us.
Very
We'll see you on an upcoming Thursday of the show. Bye now.
All
right. Cut him off a little early there.
We didn't just stop Bobby, we paused Bobby.
We paused Bobby. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't stopped him. Don't, he doesn't cause any blood clots. Don't get anything in
That's
your head
right.
about that.
Oh gosh.
All right. Time for a little bit of this.
I don't watch the news.
The news today is brought to you by...
Brought to you by Coverville. Today, we're going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Sticky Fingers, one of the Rolling Stones' landmark albums. It's that one that was designed by Andy Warhol. It's just basically a pair of jeans. The original album actually had a zipper, a working zipper on it.
Whoa, that's
But
cool.
nothing would come out if you open the zipper.
Thank goodness.
But songs like Bitch and Brown Sugar and Wild Horses all came from that album. So you can hear covers of all of those tracks. Plus, sadly, at the beginning of this week, we lost Jim Steinman. And that's not, a household name by any stretch, but he is the writer that worked with Meatloaf for years and years and years and wrote all the songs on Bat Out of Hell. He wrote Total Eclipse of the Heart and Holding Out for a Hero for Bonnie Tyler. He wrote Making Love Out of Nothing at All for Air Supply. He co-wrote More for Sisters of Mercy. I mean, this guy, some garbage for Celine Dion too. He's been writing music for musicians for a long time, and he passed away earlier this week after all of those amazing and yes, overblown karaoke hits.
Sure.
But you're going to hear covers of some of his better songs on there as well, including, damn it, somebody took my idea from years ago, Paradise by the Dashboard Light by Meatloaf, right? It's this epic song, kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody, that feels like it's in multiple parts, different sounding parts. And years ago, I had the idea of saying, oh, what we need to do is get a bunch of different bands to record the different parts, and then you could kind of play mix and match and say, all right, I want to listen to this band do the cover of the first part, and then another one do a cover of Praying for the End of Time, and then another person do a cover of Let Me Sleep on It, whatever.
Oh, wow.
And then some bands did that. Some bands got together and each recorded different parts. So it just, this is where I need to lock stuff down when I have an idea.
That's right.
Anyway.
You gotta and then not tell anyone on the internet. Don't tell anybody anymore. Just gotta...
Exactly. So all that stuff coming up at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, coverville.tv or twitch.tv/coverville.
Very nice. Wild Horse is a particular favorite of mine. I like that
Oh,
song.
it's such a great song.
Yeah. I like the cover by what's the big one?
Garbage did a good cover of it.
Is it Garbage I'm thinking of?
Might not be, because they only did it live.
Okay. It's definitely female lead, like female singer.
Oh yes, the Cranberries.
Cranberries.
Yeah.
Or no, the Sundays. The Sundays.
I'm sorry, the Sundays.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Love that cover. Oh, love that whole album. I used to love the Sundays, dude.
They were so good.
What are they doing? Are they doing anything?
I don't know if they put out anything recently, but I picked up all their albums back in the day.
The Sundays.
Reading, Writing, Arithmetic, I think was one of them. Is that right? The one that had that cover on it?
The album I'm thinking of it had a lot of blue. Oh, that is the one I'm thinking of. 1997, Static and Silence was very good. Reading, Writing, Arithmetic was their 90. That was 7 years later. Wow. Yeah. No, I guess they only have the 3 albums. They stopped.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too bad.
That is too bad. But on today's show, you're not going to hear that covered by the Sundays.
No.
You're going to hear Santana featuring Scott Weiland. Tune in for that.
Whoa.
Lucinda Williams, Marianne Faithfull, Townes Van Zandt, a cover that he included on the Big Lebowski soundtrack. By the way, that Wild Horses wasn't even originally, even though it was written by Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, they weren't the first band to release the song.
Oh,
Somebody
weird.
beat them to it.
Weird.
And released the cover before their version. So
Scott Weiland was only 48 when he died.
Yeah.
Let's see, 2015. Oh, that sucks. All right, what are you gonna do? All right, moving on. Here's your
and now the news.
Now the news. The top story today: 7-Eleven is opening a drive-thru for quick Slurpee and tacos. I know, right? Those tacos at a 7-Eleven, boy, howdy, those are.
I didn't even know they had tacos. How do they make the tacos roll back and forth on that machine?
Nature finds a way, man. They figure out a way to put them on the roller. 7-Eleven is a widely underrated road trip pit stop, says this article. I don't know if I agree. The chain of convenience stores sprinkles across the U.S. boasts quite the lineup of munchies, including fan favorite taquitos, pizza, and mozzarella sticks. 2 of those you can roll. Not to mention the Slurpee, which you need to wash it all down. I'll admit, I kind of liked a good Slurpee back in the day. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was all right. I'd get a Coke Slurpee.
The Coke Slurpee. Would you do the? Would you shoot some cherry Slurpee into the Coke?
Yeah, swamp water it a little bit. Yeah, we'd mix them, mix and match. Sure. I think if I was to say, because there's really 2 choices, or the 2 things in the world that you could get that were like that were Slurpees and Ices. And Ices was like the poor freaking cousin's uncle of those drinks. And so
agreed.
Slurpee any day.
The problem with Ices is that after a while of drinking it using the straw, you'd end up with flavorless ice.
Yep.
Because you'd basically be drinking all the syrup out of the bottom as it kind of ran down.
Yeah, and it was too granular, or too fine of a ice shave. You need a little bit of. I don't know. It's hard. It's a really hard thing to hit, right?
It is. They figured out the perfect size. The Slurpee folks.
Icy did it wrong. Anyway, now you don't even have to get out of your car to get that smorgasbord of greasy road trip food. 7-Eleven is introducing its first corporate-owned drive-through restaurant. The company announced this week locations which will be used to serve its in-house Laredo Tech taco menu is opening in Texas. You can snag tacos, side dishes, and yes, Slurpees. If you're rolling through the Dallas area, you can hit up a drive-thru restaurant which shares space with the company's 7-Eleven Evolution store. Quote, this is delicious news for customers of both 7-Eleven and the Laredo Taco Company. Never even heard of that taco thing.
No, I really seriously had no idea.
Apparently
it wouldn't like Taco Bell wouldn't even be on my list of 20 places. Or I'm sorry, did I say Taco Bell? 7-Eleven wouldn't be on my list of 20 places to get a taco.
Yeah, I go to Taco Bell before I'd go here.
Easily.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. The menu boasts beef barbacoa, chorizo, carne asada, carnitas, and even a breakfast taco made with fresh cracked eggs. Shells included. If you'd rather skip the drive-thru and go for a Marge instead, you can dine indoors. What does that mean, a Marge?
Like a margarita.
Oh, a margarita.
Yeah.
Oh, because I don't drink. I don't know these little fun names you guys all have for stuff.
Well, you'd put an E at the end if it was a Marge.
Right. Right. But then you're right. Marg is the pronunciation, but I wouldn't have have even then known that
that
was
doesn't
short.
even explain like how they're selling alcohol. I guess the Laredo Taco Company has the liquor license.
Yeah. So this is, what this is like. This is like when you find a JFC. What am I? That's Jesus effing. Anyway, that's not what I'm trying to say. What's it called? KFC. Jeez.
Oh,
so
okay.
you got like a
That's so much better than the Jersey Fried Chicken
Yeah.
place.
but like a KFC connected to like a not BMW.
Taco Bell, Pizza Hut.
Well, yeah, or whatever, and you can do that kind of crossover. That's all this is, I think.
It is, yeah. Although it's not like you can get alcohol at a Pizza Hut combo. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you can get beer at a Pizza Hut. But I'm just thinking it's really weird for 7-Eleven to bundle with a taco company where you could go in and get a margarita. As opposed, it's not a merging of just a bunch of fast food places like those KFC, Pizza Hut.
Right.
We also got out here. We've got what is it coupled with? A&W and
KFC, right? No,
is it KFC? Maybe it is KFC.
that's what ours is. We have
Is it
that
KFC
bundle.
and
Yeah.
A&W? Yeah.
And
that's a
A&W
weird
is.
bundle.
That's why I was thinking of BMW, which is stupid, but it is. But JFC, Jesus Fried Chicken.
JFC.
Yeah,
yes.
not related. His chicken is.
Long John Silver's. Maybe that. No, I don't think we've got a Long John Silver's out here at all anymore.
We don't either.
No.
Yeah. Do you guys have Hires where you are? Hires root
Hires
beer.
root beer?
Well, you probably have the root beer, but do you have like the restaurants it's based on?
Oh God, no. No, there's a restaurant.
Yeah, I think they may be. I think it may have originated here, and they're only here. I'm not 100% sure, but there's these Hires places, and they make a really killer burger there. It's
No.
I haven't been there in a while.
Sounds good.
And tons of root beer. Just like here, you want all the root beer you can ever drink? Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the A&W doesn't do the tap thing anymore, right? When you get to A&W, it's fountain drink still, and
Right.
they used to have a tap that they do the root beer out of, and it tasted so much better than
So
just
much better. Yeah.
syrup mixed with carbonated water.
Totally agree. All right, moving on. Hey, Brian, casino news. You'll like this. You like casinos.
Okay. I do like casino news. Casino news.
Yeah, Brian likes the Vegas and the casinos and the whatnot. Well, here you go.
That's right.
A casino got hacked through a fish
Uh-oh.
tank thermometer. What?
Oh no, Ocean's 14 is
No. Oh, no. Is there a little tiny Asian man in a box? Look out. Secure your laptop, secure your smartphone, secure your tablet, and then, before you forget, secure your fish tank. Yes, you heard me. Your fish tank. That was the lesson learned a few years ago by operators of a North American casino. According to the 2018 Business Insider report, cybersecurity executive Nicole Eagman of security firm Darktrace told the story while addressing a conference. Quote, the attackers used a fish tank thermometer to get a foothold in their network. Why is the thermometer on the network? Anyway, I guess
probably to report that throw an error if the tank is too cold or too warm or something like that.
Too much pee in there.
Too much pee, yes. Fishes are peeing too much.
Yeah, kill the fish. They're peeing. It says, then they found a high roller database and pulled that back across the network, out of the thermostat, and up into the cloud. It turns out it's an Internet of Things problem. There's a lot of devices that you buy, like light bulbs and cheap Chinese webcams and stuff like that. They're great for, being cheap, and they're Internet of Things ready, and you fire them up and you're ready to go. But their security is often garbage, and they don't update their firmware, and everybody's probably got something in their house right now that's like this.
Yeah.
That they could
It's a
hack into
little,
your Wi-Fi or something. But,
right. It's a little exposed point
Yep.
that some nefarious person could take advantage of.
Yeah. And part of it, I don't quite know what to trust. Like, I have these really great outlets that are echo enabled, so I can tell them to turn on and off and whatever without having to
Casa or
rewire the
something,
house.
yeah.
But I don't know that they're that secure. I have no idea.
Right.
Right now, somebody could be. I don't know what they. I don't have anything cool, but they could be taking stuff right now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Who knows?
I don't have anything cool though.
No.
No, I mean digitally. I have a lot of art.
What
and
I
stuff,
have here
but
that might be Internet of Things, but nothing.
They
Got
could
nothing.
kill my hard drive, I guess, and then hold ransom. But then I have all this stuff backed up in like 5 places, so I'm not that worried. But
Right.
still, everybody think about the shit you're plugging in. Is what I'm saying. All right. Final story.
Yes. Glad we're doing this one. I saw
yeah.
this and thought this feels like
We had to get to this.
TMS news all over the place.
Not only that, like 10 of you sent it in and said you guys have to cover this, so we're doing it. A mystery tree beast turned out to be a croissant, or as they say in French, croissant. People aren't opening their windows because they're afraid it will go into their house, the woman reportedly said. This is about something she saw in a tree.
Wow, they like BBC in their writing. They don't pussyfoot around with any sort of setup.
Yep.
It's like
you're right. And everybody like most articles, they do a bunch of stupid puff at the top. These guys were like, no, straight to it. Here's a quote from the lady.
Yeah.
A visit to the area showed the creature in question was not a bird or a reptile or any creature of any kind, unless you consider a croissant a creature. It was a croissant laying in the tree.
Yeah, you see the photo, and the photo's great. I mean, the photo feels like, wow, I could kind of almost see, like on first glance, saying that does look like an animal, like some weird, slug creature, or
it looks like a Horta from Star Trek or something.
It does.
Pain,
tree, butter,
fattening. It's that's all it was, and they stressed about it. Had people come out, inspectors, and to like be careful around it and make sure they're not gonna get stung by a jellyfish in the tree or whatever they thought it was.
Right. I just shake the tree and let it fall down and realize, oh, okay, it's bread.
Yeah. Somebody threw it up in the tree. They said, yeah, I'm gonna toss my breakfast thing up the tree. Anyway, seems like a waste of a good whatever these are, croissants. I like croissants.
First I was afraid. It was petrified.
And then with further inspection,
and then I asked for
a
croissant with some jelly on the side. Spent so many nights just hiding in my house.
It's in my blouse. I don't know how to louse. I don't have another ouse.
Yeah, I kind of painted us into a corner with that one.
There aren't very many words that rhyme with house. Blouse, house, grouse,
mouse,
louse, I guess. Oh, mouse. Okay, there's more.
Yeah.
Is there any more? Is that it?
You said blouse.
Yeah.
Klaus.
Kraus. Yeah, we said Kraus. We did that. Oh, spouse. Spouse is good.
Spouse. Uh-huh.
All right. Well, there's always more. There's always more. Oh, here's a whole list. Let's just see. This is fun. Good. House, Klaus. We did a lot of these. Chiaus. I don't know what that is. Douse. Oh, yeah, douse.
Oh, except that's douse.
Oh, douse. Yeah, you're right. It is douse. It doesn't really rhyme.
Douse it with water. You say douse it with water.
You also say gauze, not gauss, when you're doing like degaussing on your monitor.
Degaussing.
Also, Haas. That doesn't work. Some of these are bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Geez, rhymedesk.com. Playing fast and loose with the rules of rhyming, aren't we?
That's right. Oh, Strauss. That's a good one.
Strauss.
What is a smouse?
It's a small mouse.
Hold on. I have to know this. Okay. Smouse. Here we go. Oh, same as a smooch? Oh, smouch.
Really?
Okay. In South Africa, a peddler, a kind of commercial traveler or storekeeper in large towns who goes through the thinly inhabited parts of those towns, like the shanty town type stuff.
Yeah.
Selling goods. They also call him a smouse. All right.
A smouse. Okay. Did we say Bauhaus?
We didn't, but
okay. Bauhaus.
But I think it counts. Peter Murphy counts in large amounts. I like that guy. Dude, Peter Murphy's cool, man. Makes you want to listen to his music right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
searching the Tones on Tail and Love and Rockets.
I just love his whole like gothic freaking thing.
All that stuff. All the great stuff that came from.
Really cool. I dig it. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a break. When Wendy comes back, or when we come back, Wendy will be here, and she'll have an email to go through, which is a bit of a beast, but we're ready. And more after that. So stick around. Brian, we need to play a song for the break. What do you got?
I've got a song, and I do like to jump around with different styles and genres, and not just always play ska or J-pop or shoegazy or dream pop or something like that. Let's just get some rock and roll. And first thing I thought of when I heard these guys, they kind of remind me a little bit of the Refreshments, band that did the King of the Hill theme, and that song that mentions Jean-Luc Picard, Banditos.
Right.
These guys are great. This is a band called Totally Slow. They have a brand new single called Casual Drag. Actually, it's the brand new album called Casual Drag. Here's the song Found Factions from the band Totally Slow.
Number 1, don't ever touch me like that again. Number 2, don't ever touch me like that again. You copy?
Yeah, I copy.
Booby trap.
Booby trap.
These violent delights have violent ends. This is the morning stream.
All right, we have arrived back from that song, which Brian will now reiterate the name
the
of.
song again, Totally Slow is the band. The song is called Found Factions from the upcoming album Casual Drag.
Did you ever play this the game Frog Fractions? Did you ever play that?
No, Frog Factions or Fractions?
Fractions, like you'd learn in school.
I mean, not that I've played either, really.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, I've played Frog Factions, Scott, but I've never played Frog Fractions.
What's cool about Frog Fractions is it looks like an educational kids game for learning math, but it's got a whole hidden like thing in it that's just the most subversive thing you've ever heard of. It's crazy cool.
Oh, cool.
Frog Fractions is a weird. I don't know. They can never really do it again because now the genie's out of the bottle. But what they did with that game was weird. So weird. They'll be studying that for years. Whoops! I cut Brian off. Gosh dang it! Hold on. Hold on. What did I do? Shite. Hold on a second. I'm coming back. I'm back, Brian. I'm back. I screwed up and I hit call instead of ring. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I left you for a moment.
It was a fraction of a frog.
I hate when I do that. All right, calling Wendy. She hasn't answered yet, but that doesn't mean anything. It could just be she's fumbling for her phone. I'm going to pause and save.
Okay.
And put my cursor right here so I can resume very quickly when she jumps on. And I'll text her. Let's just make sure everything's all right.
She's all right. Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
There
she is. Hi. Hello.
Sorry, I just
you're
couldn't
fine.
get my thing up.
You're fine.
Open
I
it.
saw
Oh,
I saw
fine.
your thing blinking back and forth from like mobile to online to offline. I thought she's probably just fumbling for the call or something.
She is fumbling.
Fumbling for the call. Oh wait, what's this?
Everyone knows it's Wendy.
It's my sister Wendy. She is a therapist and helps people with their real problems all the time. Comes on this show and helps you with yours very kindly since 2011. Hello, Wendy, and welcome back to the show. Hello. Did we lose Wendy? We lost Wendy.
No, I'm here. You can't hear me?
Yeah,
What?
you were.
Now we can hear you.
Did
That
you
was
cheek mute? You might have cheek muted or something.
I did not cheek mute.
I don't know what happened.
I got the vaccine yesterday.
Oh, well
and,
done.
cool.
Phase 1?
Which
shot
one did
1?
you get?
I got Pfizer.
Yeah. Good.
And I mean, Scott, you can relate to this superpower we have, which is our brains are crazy good at making us feel things.
Yeah. It's a Johnson.
And I know it. Anyway, I'm sitting there. You know, you have to sit for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
First of all, I wanted some fanfare. Like, there's some awesome experiences. Like, you could go to the Vikings Stadium and they have like a big place afterwards. Everyone's dancing to get their arm moving and you're celebrating. Like, it's super fun. I was at a Walgreens where everyone hates themselves.
Yeah. That's not
And
that
I
unusual
said this
for
to the
Walgreens.
guy. He
Yeah.
shoots my arm and then he goes, I said, oh, should I move my arm around? Would that be helpful? And he goes, well, if you want to believe that.
Yeah. If you want to believe that.
I love that. That's great.
And I said, I believe. And I walked away and I'm just moving my arm and everyone's miserable. It was not pleasant. Anyway, but I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I can feel it. I can feel it going down my arm. I can feel it in my neck. You know, I'm just making that up.
Yeah.
But the brain fog that hit, man, that is real.
Yeah, that part is real. Yeah. The first shot was that was my only real reaction to it. Was I was just really tired and foggy and kind of out of it, and my arm hurt a little the next day, but it wasn't anything major. The second shot, nothing. Like the one that was supposed to be hard. I mean, I was tired. I guess I was tired and a little headachy. So if I'm honest, it was a little there, but it wasn't like this major reaction that a lot of people get on Moderna or others.
Yeah, the Moderna shot number 2, and the only I haven't heard as many stories of Pfizer 2 giving problems as much as Moderna 2.
Moderna 2, yeah. So
Yeah.
Adam's getting his Moderna 1 today.
Oh, nice.
So we're just a day behind, and we'll see who has the chip in their brain.
Nice.
No, I'm hoping he gets sick. He's never sick. And so
I'm hoping he gets sick.
I'm like, I want him to feel it.
Yeah, he never gets sick. Adam's
Yeah.
like impervious to illness, so he needs
A
to
little bit.
feel it.
A little bit. He's got that weird gene that makes them live till they're 3,000 years old.
Yeah, his Uncle Poppy would
yeah.
live forever, so...
But the brain fog. So I'm saying this because a caveat, whatever I say today may be total garbage. Because I have had a couple calls this morning, and I'm just sort of staring at him like, you good? Should we still talk? Like,
That's awesome.
No,
I
it's
love
a little foggy.
I love
it's not
it.
great.
Well, that sounds like fun, actually. So we're gonna have some fun.
Kind of does, yeah.
Well, we'll have fun
Let's
at the
see what I can
expense
do.
of this emailer and see if we can't help or hurt or harm them in the long run. All right, I'm going to read this email. We got one about anxiety, and we'll keep it anonymous. Call them B for now. And here's the email. My anxiety. Several years ago during college, I noticed I started to feel anxious when shopping with my friend for long periods of time. I feel this way when I go shopping with Kim, but that's not the same problem. Anyway. I never thought of anything of it because it was a symptom of being over shopping after 5 to 6 hours. But there was a point in time that I went to the mall on Christmas Eve and felt like I needed to escape. It should be noted that I was there for a gift for my mom, but had no clear plan as to what I would accomplish or how I would accomplish said goal. Since I started dating my now wife, my anxiety in public ever so slightly got worse. I would go 20 or 30 minutes. A trip to a store, and she would want to shop and that she would want to shop at would occasionally get a tunnel vision feeling and the need to locate her and come up with a plan to escape or protection in my head before it would clear up. It slowly got worse and then spiked after we had our son. He was born at the end of 2019. This is also right up before the pandemic started. After the pandemic started, my anxiety skyrocketed. If I go into a store without a clear and easy accomplished goal, I go into a complex downward spiral with tunnel vision and escaping mindset. There are even times that I lose track of time. For example, while my son was at his grandmother's house, he would have been, he has only been into 3 stores once in his less than 2 years of life. The wife and I needed a few things from Walmart because we were in the process of moving. It was a short list of a few things, but I started to see people not wearing masks properly, and my anxiety kicked in full force. I just remember asking my wife to lead the way, and then suddenly we were at the back of the store picking out the stepladder that I needed. I lost the entire stretch of time that it took to get from the front of the store to the back. This reminds me of driving sometimes. Like you don't notice that you took your commute. I hate that feeling.
Yeah.
Anyway, my wife is a licensed counselor. She has since told me that I need probably to see someone PRN. I'm not sure what that means. What's that mean? Do you know what that means? PRN?
I think, I'm not sure if it's like she means APRN, like a nurse practitioner that can do meds, or is it short for pronto?
Oh, it might be short for pronto.
I don't know. I'm old. I don't know acronyms.
What if it's porn and you left out the O?
Somebody says as needed. PRN as needed.
PRN means as needed? I've never heard of that.
As needed frequency.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway.
One more time.
It's so the way the sentence goes. She has since told me that I need to probably see someone PRN and possibly get a low dose medication to help me when I go into places public. So I still don't know what it means. Anyway.
Yeah, because what she's saying is you need an anti-anxiety that you would temporarily use if you're going into places, but a PRN would give you those, or
yeah,
and it's as needed. Maybe that's what PRN means.
So that could be like Xanax or something, right? Like a short term,
Yes, exactly. But my brain read pronto.
Yeah, I read pronto. I read porn, but I didn't really read porn. Anyway, it says, let's see. Okay, she and I both understand the ethics of treating family members as I used to be a speech therapist. Basically saying, she can't be his therapist is what she's saying. And you would agree with that, right, Wendy? Sorry to pause here, but you're a believer in that whole, like, you'll give advice, but you don't want to be mom's therapist, right?
No.
Yeah.
You can't do it. In fact, you create more harm. And she's totally right.
Adam's never going to be your client.
I've tried, and it backfires so bad. So
All right. What if Peter came to you at age 25 and he's like, Mom, It's time. I need a therapist, and you're going to be it.
Right.
Whoa,
I'll drive you there.
I'll drive
He
you
would never
there.
do that.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So here's the rest of it. That is why she obviously wants me to seek out help outside of her. She now goes to the store without me for the most part. I have a few safe places, however, I can go to work with no issue. And if some of them do not wear masks correctly, I feel, even if they wear their mask incorrectly, but I feel anxious when friends and family ask me if I want to meet up or go somewhere. My mother has MDS. It's a type of blood cancer, and she is in chemotherapy for treatment currently. We have not seen my parents since January of 2020. Jeez. I have thought about going to see them socially distanced, but the thought of driving 2 hours to not hug them and to be afraid for my son to hug them keeps me from doing so. I should also state that I had COVID in December and lost my grandmother to a COVID-related illness. I need to know how to start looking for someone who will see me in a PRN frequency. Again, I don't know what it means. To try
It must be as needed.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
must be as needed.
pro re nata, which is Latin for as the need arises.
Oh.
See, we're
You
dumb.
people
No,
in
this
the
is good.
chat
We're
room have brought
learning.
this
I
up.
mean, how much
Yeah.
Latin do we know? I don't know hardly any. This is good.
Exactly.
Yeah, look at the glass half full, Wendy. Glass half full. All right. Anyway, I want to start working this out. I cannot afford to see someone on a regular basis regardless. Here's the final stuff. I know this might be a complete might not be a complete coherent thought, but after years of listening to you on TMS, I trust you with all this information. This is a long as hell email, so I understand if you guys don't want to use it on the show. Too bad we used it.
We only like really long ones. So.
Yeah, that's right. So what do you want to do for B? I relate to B a lot. And some years ago, like this is not a problem for me now, but this feeling of going into a Walmart and losing your mind in there, I had that bad circa 2008-ish was the worst, real bad. And I would have some of these same experiences, lose track of time, the tunnel vision thing, the feeling of I just have to get out of here and there's nothing that needs, nothing can get in my way. I don't feel that way now. Like I can go hang out in a Walmart forever and just be tired, Let's just get sleepy in there.
Just your basic drain.
Yeah. And so I don't really, but I'm lousy at advice because I don't really know what I did. I think something just changed chemically or something, but, what would you suggest here?
I'm just noting it was 2008.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, okay, let's start with this. Let me go back to that point in a second, but let's start with this. This sucks, dude. Like, this is hard. And also, like, of course, right? The fact that this isn't happening to all of us is actually the true miracle here.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot happening. And that kind of leads to my point about you, Scott, in 2008. Like when there is a lot going on that is out of your control and feels all over the place, which 2008 had its own version of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this version is the worst version, in my opinion, but it's that the vibe is everywhere and everyone's kind of not okay. And you're using resources that maybe you haven't had to tap before. And it sounds like, there's been a in utero version of this, like when he was in college, he had some of those experiences.
Yeah.
And so this isn't brand new, but we've added an element to this that is very new, which is COVID and masks and how people wear or don't wear them, or like the freaking people with their noses sticking out. Could we honestly?
Exactly.
It creates so much more stress than it should. So as I'm in Walmart or Walgreens getting my shot, and this woman, she just walks around Walgreens with it hanging from her ear until she has to talk to someone, and then she puts it up. And I just think, for the love of all that's holy, it's still a statewide mandate. Can you just help us out here?
And what are you achieving, right? Is it to just show that you can do it, or is it because it's so much easier for you to have it down low? You've got it on your face, just hike it up an inch.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But I also think there is a moment I had there that would not exist at any other time in my life. I would never look at a person and go, oh, I think I know something about them because they're wearing a mask wrong, or, I have to feel any vibes or whatever. Right. So that is a lot. And it sounds like in shopping environments, where there's a lot of chaos, noise, color, smells, people, I mean, Walmart to me, it has a particular smell that if I'm not okay, I can't go in there. Like, it's going to trigger some type of fight or flight response, right? And really, what's happening to him is he's having a form of a panic attack. So I think we often think of the panic attacks you see on TV, right, where you can't breathe and you need to breathe into a bag, and it's a little more physically noticeable on the outside. People are having panic attacks all the time, and we can't see it.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. Real quick here, let me interject, because most of the time when I was having these horrible panic attacks, and they were all the time, people rarely knew. Kim would be the only one that would kind of know the signs because she would see them. And when I was with her alone, I was much more open about what was going on. But if I'm in public and this was happening, I just looked normal to people. I didn't look like I was falling apart inside, but I was ready to explode. Like, get me the frick out of here. The closest I've seen anybody get this right was an episode of Mindhunter season 1. And Brian, you might remember this. What's his name? The younger dude, not the older guy not the older detective. I can't think of his name. Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever his name was. He's working with that serial killer for so long, and it finally just gotten into his blood, like it just was too much, and he didn't know what was happening to him. So your first like major meltdown panic attack, you think you're dying. You think you're going to die. And that show got that feeling down much better than most. Most of the time it's like the camera's spinning around, and it's just like this artificial chaos that isn't exactly right. But that particular episode of Mindhunter kind of nailed it. But yeah, like Wendy's right. Most of the time, our desire to hide how we're feeling overrides the physical manifestation of a panic attack.
Well, and he's having a couple other symptoms, right, where he's sort of dissociating, and it's like you described that driving in a car, but usually you're just lost in thought. But this is like a brain. It's like a pause on mental activity as a safety measure, right?
Right.
Kind of shuts it down. So he's physically moving to the back of the store. He's, with her so he can get there, but then he's there and hadn't realized, he didn't know how he got there, right. Which is also disconcerting, right? Yeah. It is weird when you're in your car and you get somewhere, you're like, well, I can't really remember. That's freaky.
It's scarier in your car. Well, maybe not scary, just a different kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Right. You do have a moment where you're like, ugh. And so if you really have no sense of how you got somewhere and you just woke up somewhere, you'd be really alarmed, right? Mm-hmm. So everything keeps sort of piling on, and that's sort of shows what's happening here is that you've got all these elements and then your own sort of trauma with COVID and everybody's weird mojo everywhere you go that is a public shopping place, right? Mm-hmm. I think I told this on this show before, I'm not sure, but I was in a grocery store not long ago and I just, as I do, knocked a thing over, like a metal, on like a corner, it had a big metal thing that had come loose. Turns out there's metal things on corners of grocery aisles, and I kick it just right.
Yeah,
I guess it's for people
for keeping the carts from taking out chunks of drywall or something.
Yeah, totally. And I am like, I knocked this thing over. It was so loud, like I can't even. I don't think I've heard anything so loud in my life. And everyone in the store freezes, turns around. There's two guys in front of me holding big boxes of food. They drop them. And the panic in everyone's face. And I was like, I am so sorry, everyone. And it's because it's a ticking time bomb, right? Like everyone's kind of not okay. And so that is the world he is, dealing with some public anxiety, social anxiety in a group space, right? So agoraphobia is sort of fear of crowds or not being able to leave a certain place. And so people tend to just stay home, right? Like that's a very, that's one version of this. And it's like that he's got some version of this. And of course it's gotten worse. It just makes so much sense that it has gotten worse. And his body is responding the way it does when it needs you to get out of there. So there's the parasympathetic response, or sympathetic response, which is run, freeze, panic, play dead, like dissociate, leave, and so he doesn't get to control those things when he is that All of those ingredients are there, and he's triggered inside one of these spaces. So
Right.
his wife is right, that getting in as needed. I'm not fancy enough to use Latin, so as needed, that he can use, that would calm his nerves as he's about to enter a store. And that feels hard, right? Like, do I really need to take this in order to go to Walmart? Might just feel like, okay, right?
Right.
But sometimes people just having it with them can be enough
Yep.
to like calm them down, right? That might just having a prescription in your wallet or, put his purse can do a
Pocket.
lot.
Yeah.
Like I
And
had,
so that's
like,
one thought too.
when I was in, whenever I had to do anything stagey at BlizzCon, I would carry stuff in my bag that I never used, but I knew was there, and so there was always this feeling of like, look, even if it got bad, you're good. You could make it through because of this, but you probably
What
won't
was
need
it, like
it.
a Game Boy? What did you have in your bag that
Just a little.
would make
I had a small prescription of Valium from a doctor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just sat in my bag, never got used, aged out, got flushed down the toilet because they were too old anyway. But
Yeah.
having them there in 20,
It's like
15.
an insurance kind of thing.
yeah, it was like a weird sense of like worst case scenario. I have a plan,
Mhm.
but also I knew that I would probably never have worst case scenario, and I never did, and that
Yeah.
was nice. It was a nice feeling. No, it was a nice feeling to know I both had backup and didn't need it at the same time.
Dang, dude. So like all these times we were at BlizzCon together, you were holding and
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
didn't let
I
me,
was- I was
you
packing-
bogarted.
Yeah, I was bogarting all the drugs. If you want, look, they go for a lot of money on the streets of Anaheim. I needed to cover
totally
my
would, yeah.
my bills.
He didn't take you in the bathroom and give you a half a Valium that had been in his pocket.
It's a little sticky.
But I will say, like, by the time I did that enough times that by the time 2018 rolled around and I had the biggest stage thing ever, I had to be up in front of 26,000 people. I didn't even have them that year because I had done this and I'd felt okay about it, and I'd sort of built that confidence up over time. So when that finally happened, it was like, oh, I don't need anything. I'm good. I can just do this. It'll be fine. And then worst case scenario went from you're going to have the worst panic attack of your life and freaking fall off the stage and faint in front of everybody. Then I started to have the attitude of like, well, what if that happened? That'd be a memorable moment. Everybody would remember that time that guy fainted. It'd be fine.
Passed out.
Yeah.
Well, and you're leading to the thing I really want him to do, because to have a Valium in your pocket is a fine psychological tool of safety. Because really, if you think of what it is, and you just described this, right, which is that you've got a way to escape or be safe or be okay, which is the core problem here. Here's where this is tricky. You think the majority of people have no problem going to the store. Why? Like, your story is that something's wrong with you, not that really what's wrong with everybody else, that they aren't freaked out in a Walmart. And so it's a kind of a harsh judgment of yourself that you're holding that story because it's happened to you. You freaked out in these stores and felt out of control and awful. So that story's pretty strong. So the cognitive behavioral therapy or exposure therapy or, ways to work with the stories and the thinking can be incredibly valuable here. So that then the Valium in your purse is just a helpful addition.
Well, for the record, I didn't have a purse, but that's fine. Continue.
You did.
Yeah.
And then he can like eventually get up to like if he wants to go to the store. I would use this as an excuse to never go to a store again. That's honestly what I would do, because I hate going to the store so much.
Right.
Don't do that because it's against what I'm actually telling you. But it makes sense why people wouldn't go again, right? If anyone felt that way, we'd all stop going to the store.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we can get in trouble. And that's where agoraphobia really sort of takes hold, and the not leaving the house, because you never know. We can build into that because we keep having experiences that we are having a response. Our body is responding like we're going to die. So why would you go out of the house? It's just logical. The difference is now we don't have a tiger chasing you that will kill you. We just have a grocery store. And so the story doesn't match. So to get some help with that, there are, this is where your wife can be helpful. Like she's not going to do therapy with you, but she can help find a workbook you could go through together. maybe there is some videos you can watch on sort of exposure therapy, or, you don't want to do these things without a professional. I realize what I'm saying, but if you can't afford to get help on a regular basis, or maybe you can get one good appointment with somebody who's specializes in this, and they can give you a bunch of tools. You can buy workbooks that are like toolkits for managing anxiety and these specific things. There's things out there that can help you start to get into the mode of, I need to challenge the story that keeps me from going in there, and do things in ways that are smart, right? Like don't start your first day going at 4 p.m. on a Thursday, because that's when everyone's going to buy dinner ingredients. You go with the old people on Monday morning at 9 a.m.
Right.
And you go slow, and like there's step-by-step and cognitively smart ways to manage some of these feelings. Or you medicate it. That's what people do. Sometimes they medicate it and they don't do that work. A combo is really our best bet.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage him to try to find something that is affordable, that doesn't over rely on his wife, of course, but just, you can also guide him to some good resources potentially, or someone she's connected to can.
Yeah. I mean, years ago, we had a discussion here. I don't remember the context exactly, but you were really pushing the concept of leaning into it, and that's kind of this
exposure therapy, I think.
Yeah, maybe that was it. But just this concept of like, if a busy place like whatever. I mean, it's so weird in post-COVID times even talking about it in this way. But you can still be in a pretty crowded Walmart in 2021. It turns out. Yeah. But anyway, like, if that is the thing that's really bugging, then it seems counterintuitive, but just do it more. Like, that works. It's worked for me. Like, you just sometimes have to just lean into it. And the problem with like anxiety attacks is they seemingly come out of nowhere, and they're confusing, and they're embarrassing, and they don't make sense. Like, why am I feeling this way and nobody else around me is sensing this? It's horrible. It's really one of the worst things on this freaking planet.
I want to jump on something. You asked a great question, which is, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And the impulse humans have to ask this very important question is a good one. The problem is we don't actually ever listen for the answer, which is, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, the story is that I'm bad or broken or what's wrong with me. Like, that's your answer. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to panic more. Right? Like, the whole system's like, oh, you're even less safe because now you're a dork, or, whatever the story that emerges. But if you really listen, well, it's because I don't feel good. This isn't a good spot. And here's the thing. And this is where no other time on earth, I hope, will this be more true. But as people slowly get back into the groove of life and groups, what people are finding is their tolerance for even small groups has diminished significantly.
Yeah.
Their ability to sort of hang in on a conversation that's more than an hour and not on a screen is like it. Our brains do this thing when we're not using them for particular things, it prunes them. So think of it as the bush that needs pruning, or the tree. You take off the dead parts that aren't being used. And when a year is a significant amount of time to not do certain things socially, so our brain has pruned some of the stuff, like, I don't need that anymore. I don't need to look at body language. It's fine. And it'll come back, right?
Yeah.
But people are going to have to be inching into this.
It's going to be a long adjustment period of
weird, how impactful. Yeah. And so he is not alone. And it explains why this has gotten worse. But there are plenty of people who've never had anything like this and are experiencing this. So it is, it's the brain adjusting. And so to recognize, like, go slow, be kind to yourself. You are not broken. This is frustrating, of course, and not fun to experience, but your brain thinks you're in trouble. And so we've got to figure out how to calm your brain down so it doesn't think you're in trouble and respond the way it's responding. Because it's responding as if you're going to get hurt. Something really bad's going to happen. And, it doesn't help when we have shootings in grocery stores.
Yeah,
right?
that would
because
help.
Then something really bad can happen. And
mass shootings being what they are, it would help if those were less prominent. Okay, let me throw out an esoteric quick thing here. You tell me if this is off base or not. It feels like, to me, just like any stress on humans, they try to adapt or figure out what to do, right? Whether it's an immediate threat like a tiger, a saber-toothed tiger chasing you down in your cave, or if it's a, bigger, more, broad thing like a pandemic that may or may not affect you as much because you're living in a rural place where no one sees anybody already, or you live in a packed city where it's real bad or whatever. So I'll just get to the question. Do you think that when people, there's a certain percentage of people who are like, what we need to do? We just need to let this thing have its way, just like previous times there's been terrible plagues. Just let it rip through the populace and leave the strongest survive. That's the way it's meant to be. We're just fiddling around here. Just let nature do its thing. Isn't that just them coming up with their way of dealing with it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just their mental bandage of saying, well, this is a lot of stress. My way of dealing with it is to say, come at me. And come what may. Kill who you want to kill, and the rest of us will survive, and then we'll move on, thinking you'll probably survive. Isn't it the same thing as somebody who's nervous and doesn't want to leave home and, has they just have an other way of dealing with the exact same stress, right?
And you could say it's a slow version of fight, flight, or freeze, right? Like, fight is what I'm going to choose, but I have to do it in a slow version, and it probably won't even affect me. I think there's something to be said for that. Like, when you're saying that out loud, you're not actually saying, well, if my mom and dad die and I get real sick and I have a long haul case, yeah, it's fine. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's not what anyone is saying. They're saying, I'm immune. And I've been thinking about this a lot I live in Minnesota. I live near all of the excitement this week. And
yeah, no kidding.
Just if I have to talk to one more freaking white person, I tell you what. And there's a reason I'm trying to wrap my head around how is it that you think you have these answers to something you've never experienced, like the lack of humility to just, like, this just happened recently. So I was talking to someone and they said, I've been pulled over and arrested before.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, got it. So you know exactly what this is like.
Yeah.
And I was like, and tell me how belligerent you were to the cop. He's like, yeah, he was such a jerk. And I was yelling at him. I'm like, did you ever fear for your life? He's like, well, no. I'm like, okay, do I have to spell this out? And it's because
for some people
we have this thing, and I don't know if this is a word. I meant to Google it, but I have COVID brain right now. I don't have real COVID brain, but I have, anyway, it is this self-referential empathy that as long as I have felt it or experienced it, then it's real. And so when I do that, it feels so true. Like, I can think these people are blank blank because I didn't get blah, blah, blah. It's all this self-referential stuff. So when you say that, like, everyone's experiencing this differently, they are. I do think there is a span of sort of what we do with fear. We all respond differently, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't know until we are gripped by it what we do. Are we a fighter? Are we a freezer? Are we a fawner? Are we, do we flee? And he's having this experience going into a store where his biology is kicking in. There's enough sort of signals in the environment that says this isn't safe. You got to go. And it's doing some passing out maneuvers. It's doing get out of here maneuvers, right? He's not fighting. He's not going to chop kick anybody. But somebody else who's told to wear a mask, I guarantee they're getting kicked. Their fight maybe gets kicked in, right, in those moments.
Yeah.
And anyway, so there's lots of variation on this theme, but I do think there is such a strong, what am I experiencing? And that is real. And it's pretty tough when someone very different from you or having different experiences from you says a thing that hits a nerve for you because you didn't do anything bad, or you're a good white guy, or, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just really tricky because you just think, well, if it's not real for me, it's not real for them. And it's not overt. This isn't like out loud. Some people say it out loud, of course.
Yeah.
But there is this like internal response that is.
It's like not all men. I hate that not all men thing. I hate it. So when somebody recounts a horrible, story of abuse, from somebody, you know, I don't know, let's say they were sexually abused or harassed at work or raped or something terrible, and they're brave enough to tell that story, especially when that story has, you know, ramifications about the prominence of the person involved or something or whatever. This whole Me Too movement thing, as an example. Dudes that reply to that, well, not all men. Nobody said it was all men. Nobody even brought you into this.
Okay, so get curious. Why is that necessary? Take one person that needs to write that. Why?
I don't know. I don't get it. You're gonna have to explain this to me because I've never understood it. I don't get it.
It's self-referential empathy, right? Which is my term I'm making up, which is this idea of like, that is threatening to that's terrible, right? You're a human. You're not a monster. You're hearing this story, but you cannot fathom that, because that includes you.
Right. Right.
So you've made it about you. And so now you're defending you when no one's accused you of anything.
Right.
Right. And I think white people do this too. I'm particularly stuck on the racial issue for good reasons. Is that somehow anyone's experience of all the lives lost and their interconnectedness, like George Floyd's girlfriend is the teacher to Dante Wright's, was his teacher in high school or a principal or something. Like, if there's that much police death in your life that you're all interconnected, there's too much police death, clearly, right? Yeah. So, but then you are a white guy trying to, you know, intellectualize and understand this whole thing, and you're like, well, I don't do that, or I have great experiences with cops. Like, it's about you, and that's what's so tricky. Is there's this very egocentric response we have that stops curiosity, right? Yeah. So even we can flip it to the other direction. Like, you don't get why someone would write not all men. Well, come on, Scott, get curious. Like, well, what might that be about, and how is that about you? And that's tricky. None of us are good at this, right? I don't know how we're talking about this. This is not related.
No, it's okay. I think it's an okay thing. It's funny because I just had this, I had a direct experience recently with a listener. Brian was copied on it. I got this email from somebody who said, I know you guys don't mean any harm when you do this. And when they say you guys, she really means me because I'm the one that always brings it up. But Brian's got a friend named Chris Brown, and he brings him up sometimes. Like, oh, yeah, my buddy Chris Brown. And I'll go, and I always make this joke. I say, oh, is that the one that beat up Rihanna? Now, I'm ripping on Chris Brown and think he's a douchebag for being a domestic abuser, but I'm being very flippant and sort of loose with just throwing that out there, you know, treating domestic abuse as like, well, it's a chance for Scott to tell his Chris Brown joke every time it comes up. And she was just like, yeah, you know, for those who are in that world, who have felt that pain or are still dealing with it, that stuff's really, really hard to hear. And she's right. She's totally frickin' right. And I told her as much, and I'm never going to tell that joke again because she's right. And the reason she's right is a couple of fold. One, she's just right intrinsically, but two, I don't have the experience that dredges up for people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have Dad didn't beat me up growing up. Kim doesn't punch me now. I've never been in a position where anyone gave me too much crap. And part of that's because I'm tall. And even in high school and junior high, when I got tall, nobody bullied me. Like, I don't have that referential experience and that feeling of like, I'm stuck here. And also there's a physical forbearance in my face all the time. I don't have that experience. So me being very flippant and jokey, even though it's mostly about me condemning Chris Brown and his shitty behavior, I'm not doing that in a way that's super thoughtful to those who have been victims of domestic abuse. And so as a result, I could have handled that email two ways. It could have been, and I'm not, by the way, pipe tooting my own horn. This is me trying to do better. Okay. This is all this is. This isn't me saying, so do what I did. That's not what I'm saying. Do what you want to do. I'm just saying that in this particular case, I was faced with a situation where I could go, you know what I meant. I never mean anything. You know, this.
It was just a joke.
Yeah, I could have done all those explainers and could have justified the whole thing. But I looked at it, thought about it. This is even before I saw your reply, Brian. And I went, no, I got to stop doing that. Like, it's not, it isn't even that funny. So it's not really worth it. We have enough of these that Brian can say a thing and then I bring up an old joke. Like, we have enough of that. We can, and none of those hurt people and make them feel bad. And I don't want to make people feel bad. That's not our goal here on this show or in my life. So
there's a great quote that I can't remember who, because my brain's not working, is men are interacting with women and their greatest fear is if they'll get rejected, and women interacting with men, their greatest fear is they'll be killed.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference. Yeah. Rejection and death, those are two
yeah,
wide gaps.
And so you think women have adopted a bunch of ways to survive? We have. And one of the things here, and let me get to this point, because this is my conversations with many people, is just this. I'm so sick of talking about race. If you're so sick of any of these conversations, it's because you're not in the group that's being harmed.
Mm-hmm.
You're just the comfort. I've thought about that. Like when I was a kid, I didn't have to think about any of these things. And we spent hours at dinner talking about race in our house. And my kids saying, but the policeman across the street is so nice. And the cops at my school are so nice. And we're like, yep, there's a lot of nice cops, because they have little kid brains. They don't understand this. So we're talking about it. And then I said, okay, so also here's a thing you may not experience because your skin is white. You don't know what someone else's experience is when their skin isn't white. And so it's just slowly trying to build this, like, hey, there's self-referential empathy, like, but they're good to me. All lives matter. Or, not all men. That's a way of saying, I'm okay. So how is this a problem out there? And it's because it's distressing to live in a place where there's this pain and there's these problems. But this weird thing we kind of get stuck on is our own take or our own, how it impacts me. It's problematic. Now, we're humans. This is a survival response, right? Which is, how does this impact me so I can be safe? Me and mine, right? This is very old, very tribal, very survivalist. And so it takes a lot to get out of that. And I have a lot of empathy for people who are stuck in it and just feel like they're getting beat up, maybe for the first time in their lives. Like I have a few people I talk to who are like, I'm a white male. Nothing will ever be good for me again. I'm like, all right, buddy, breathe, because you're for the first time having just a bit of a taste of it. And it is not great, right? Mm-hmm. So it's how to break out of some of these sort of self-referencing things. It's really tricky to do. Mm-hmm. And so if you think you're sure about something, and this is what's hard, we're humans. We want to be sure. That feels safe, right? I want to know what I think, where it is, who I trust, what's going on. That's part of our craving. So to be really open and really listen is tricky. And our pride gets hurt and our ego gets hurt and we don't want to see ourselves in certain ways. So this all leads to get a little Valium, put it in your purse.
Get it legally, talk to your doctor.
Going back to, and you're going to be okay. And there is help. And when the pandemic ends and things normal out, just give yourselves time to, real quick shift away from that to this, is just, I don't think maybe any of us are giving ourselves enough space to see some of the impact of COVID on us and grief and collective grief. I mean, this is so cute. Tara sends me this text like, I know stuff's going down in Minnesota. I hope you're safe. And I wrote back after the conviction came through, and I'm so relieved that he was convicted. And she writes back, I don't know who you're talking about and what conviction, but whatever, it sounds good. And I was like, I need more of that in my life. I need someone who knows nothing, and has no opinion, to just care about people and safety and love. And I'm like,
and that's it.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
it was
I
hilarious.
agree. Now,
but that's human.
Now we haven't, like you said, we steered a little bit away from the anxiety question, but I hope this other stuff helps too, because I think part of the anxiety of 2020 and the pandemic that everybody kind of shared was just this feeling of unease, uncertainty, and things they're not used to. And some reacted in belligerent, hateful ways, and others acted in kind and helpful ways, and most of us reacted in sort of sink into the couch and eat a lot of Cheetos sort of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But
or a little of all of them.
Acknowledging that we all did a bit of that is helpful. I think it's helpful to me as somebody who has struggled with anxiety issues in his life. So I hope it is to this person we're calling B. So let us know if how you're doing. And also, as usual, it almost goes without saying anymore, but when people write in, it already tells me they're on a better track than they think they are, because they're actually asking, and he's talking to his wife, and his wife's making suggestions, and like this isn't somebody who's not wanting to do something about it. They're actively trying.
You hate using the phrase, oh well, admitting or figuring out how you want to solve your problem is the first step in solving your problem. But it is true. I mean, it's acknowledgement, and you're on your way to
awareness. Sometimes getting out of our own denial is, that's the hardest step.
I agree.
I need help, or have a problem, or
it's not just a dirty river full of disease. It's
no, and it's an acute onset, so it's not something he can ignore. Whereas a lot of us can be in real bad mental shape and walk around for a long time and not even know it.
Right.
And this stuff, you don't get to choose to not see it, because it will hit him in the face every time he needs to get a burrito, it's just
all your burrito getting moments.
Do they sell burritos at Walmart? Because that is really grossing me out.
Sell them at 7-Eleven if you want.
Yeah, we found that out earlier. But no, I think if you're in a Walmart with one of the built-in Taco Bells, obviously you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I've seen.
Don't.
But don't. Yeah, but don't.
Just don't.
Yeah, just don't.
I wouldn't even get the Subway sandwiches there. That's just nasty.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's a reason I see somebody. I see. Okay, of the 4 times I've seen somebody barf in a public place, 3 of them have been at a Walmart. So I don't know what that tells you, but something's going on there. Anyway, don't puke in public is the lesson. Wendy, it's always a pleasure to hang out and talk. Realsteps.org is a place people can go to learn about Wendy's cool program she's running all the time. I don't know what the status is. You guys taking new people at the moment? What's the deal?
We will. I said last week we were ready. We're not ready. We'll be ready this weekend, I promise. And I'll send out an email. So go in and you can sign up and put your email on there. We'll send out how it all works and when it starts.
Yeah. If you're curious about it, go read all about it. It's all right there. It's just a website, everybody. Realsteps.org.
Can I ask for just a little feedback real quick?
Of course.
Have I made sense today?
Oh, yeah. It totally made sense. I didn't think you were foggy at all. Only foggy to yourself.
It's so weird.
What about that part? What about that part where she said she kept muttering, "You got what I need"? What was that about? That was really weird. Yeah.
No, honestly, it's like being like you're about a foot behind someone in line, and the person in front of you is talking. That's how this feels.
Well, it's when you started, spouting leftist propaganda. That's when we.
That's true.
We had to pause the show for a little bit. You don't remember any of that? Wow.
She became a pupil of the leftists. All right. Well done. And we will definitely talk next week. And hopefully the efficient German Pfizer will treat you well between now and then.
Yes.
We'll see you then.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Brian, I heard rumor that a certain guy on a bike is going to be buttering up his crotch and riding again for charity. Tell us all about it.
That's right. Yeah, so there are 2 big things that I do every year for charity. One is for Alzheimer's, that's the Cover-thon, and the other one is the MS 150 bike ride. Guess what? This year, they're like a freaking week apart. So it's like I've got to be gearing up for one while I'm gearing up for the other. But for right now, I really want to push the MS 150 fundraiser. Listen, if you've got $5, if you got $10, if you got 20, whatever, and maybe you know somebody in your life who suffers from MS. I have an aunt that suffers from MS, and she rides on this freaking 150-mile bike ride every year. We did our makeup ride together last year when the event got canceled, but they brought it back this year. They're doing it in different ways, still socially distanced, but they're still doing it, and it's such a great event, and the positivity and the people cheering on the sidelines as you ride by different parts of town are just, it's like so heartwarming. Anyway, what I want you to do is go to tiny.cc/Coverville Bike 2021, because I forgot that I used Bike Coverville last year, and whatever, that thing doesn't work anymore, and I can't reuse that tiny URL. But anyway, tiny.cc/Coverville Bike 2021, all lowercase. If you can make a donation, that's great. And of course, as always, if you make a donation and then send me an email, and let me know a song that you want me to include on the mix that I listen to while I'm writing, then I'll think about you while I'm listening to that song, and I won't judge and I won't complain that I hate Nickelback, but I'll do it, and I won't bitch about it. Tiny.cc/Coverville Bike 2021.
Nice. Dude, that we'll mention it a bunch more times too, and get you guys nice and familiar with it. You really came to the table last year, and let's do it again.
Yes, and I actually might, somebody in the chat is saying stream the ride. I picked this guy up right here, the Mevo, and I'm going to be practicing around with this on the bike. I've got a little stand for it, and it is a streamer that I can actually stream from the bike. So even my practice rides, I'm going to try streaming.
Nice. How do you? So you tie that to your phone?
Yeah,
Tether it?
and then the phone isn't like using up all the resources of using the camera and the GPS and all the stuff that I need for the ride. This will handle all the heavy lifting, and it'll just use the bandwidth on the phone.
That's great.
Stream.
Very cool. All right, well, watch for more of that coming soon. In the meantime, that'll do it for our broadcast week, at least the normal broadcast week. You patrons will get a TMS PM tomorrow at 3:30 Mountain Time. We'll do it live and put it up, of course, on the Patreon feed. So check that out. If you're interested in our Patreon, every day there's bonus content, and you can't get it any other way. Sign up at patreon.com/TMS. For everything else you might need in this life, you can find it at frogpants.com/TMS. Sign up for our newsletters as well. I've got one called frogpants.club. Super easy. Sign up and you're in. Brian's running the cover letter these days over at coverville. What is it?
Substack. Coverville.substack.com. Yep. Every Friday morning you get a.
Oh, cool. You have yours. You have like a regular schedule. I'm terrible.
I just do it. If I don't do it on a regular schedule, then I won't do it. As well. Plus it lets me like compile all the great songs that I've heard over the week that just came out and put it in one place. Yeah.
Very
anyway,
nice.
That's some of the stuff you get. The friggin' Polyphonic Spree surprised everyone and released a cover album last Friday. And so I get to tell my Polyphonic Spree story, and they're just awesome people.
Yeah, that's very cool. What was I going to say? I was going to say another thing about that, and I forgot.
I don't know.
Today there should be a new Fred and Can today. That's what it is. Fred and Can. If you're mad that I made fun of the Snyder Cut last week, well then look forward to whatever today brings. Because
were there people mad that you made fun of the Snyder Cut?
It's not mad. I got a few people. You know how people get. If you're a super
have you even seen the Snyder Cut yet?
No, I haven't even seen it. That's the funny thing. I haven't even watched it. The joke was Can put a fake beard on and acted like he had aged 50 years because he watched the Snyder Cut.
Right.
And the whole point was, here's somebody who's being a jerk about the Snyder Cut in the form of Can, and here's Fred, who's all the rest of you who love the Snyder Cut, and he's irritated that Can's being a dork. Don't come at me. Come at Can.
Right. Listen, and go watch the Snyder Cut. You can binge watch the whole series over the course of a weekend, and it's great.
Yes,
enjoy it.
I agree. All right, that's gonna do it. Let's play some music and get out of here. Brian, what song are we playing?
Yes, Derek wrote in and said, I can only think of Jamin Zukas in The Good Place, always having a martini glass full of weird things. Derek.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian and Scott, April 22nd will be my wife's and my 15th anniversary. Well, happy anniversary. We've come a long way in the past 15 years, and we're both the same and very different people from when we first got married. Could you please pick a song that is appropriate for this? Something that's fun and whimsical that you think would be appropriate. If you can't fire the ship's phasers, then you can eat rice.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
All right.
Take your pick.
Here, let's see phasers.
Let's test the ship's phasers.
I don't have rice handy, so there you go. That's what
all
you're
right.
getting.
I love the ship's phasers. That's my favorite thing.
It's good.
You both kick ass, and thanks for all you do. Signed, Derek in Canada with holes in the money. All right. So
see? Someone finally admits it.
Yes. Jeff Sire may deny it, but there's holes in their money. Sometimes you have to pop out the middle of a toonie or a loony to get the hole, but there's holes in it.
How else are you going to tie a little string on it and keep using it in the phone booth or whatever? You know, get the hole in it. I know what's up.
All right. So 15 years ago, there was a lot of crap on the Billboard charts. 2006, April 22nd, 2006. But there were a couple of good songs. One of them was a tune by James Blunt called "You're Beautiful." That song is kind of slow and lame. And but when you do it in the style of the Stray Cats Rockabilly with actual former members of the Stray Cats, it turns into a whole new thing. Plus, they figure out a way to inject some Jason Mraz, I'm Yours, a little bit of Jesse J's, what's that song called? Price Tag? It's all about the money, money, money. That's the one. Anyway, here are the Rocker covers with their cover of You're Beautiful from their 2013 album, New Old Stock.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com.
That was you, by the way. I found that file.
That was me?
Yeah. It's well, okay. So I don't have full confirmation on this, but the file's called Weird Ibbot Burp.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so,
it was probably that was one of my trying to hide it internal belches kind of thing. It wasn't like that one I let loose a couple of weeks ago that
oh no, that was
is making all the rounds on the internet.
Yeah, that was a popular one.
That one's popular.
It's pretty good though. Whatever that is. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you were faking that or if you really burped or what that was, but
wow, jeez.
Get yourself checked.